Hey guys, Jeff here, Dice Setter. So last weekend I went to Vegas. Um, I know it was news to me as well. Friday I woke up and said, you know what? After work I'm going to go to Vegas, and so contacted our host and said, "Host, do you guys have room for us?" And they said, "Well, certainly. We always have room for you guys." And got a room. I did not get out of work till 4. So it's supposed to be closed at noon, but you gotta work on what you know. You gotta get people's cars done. Got in around 9, 10, something like that. I did sit there and have 2 sessions on the craps table, and again, I only play at Ellis. And at one time they had four, three. No, they had three. The most they've ever had was 3 craps tables, only three. Then they got rid of one and got a roll to win table. Well, now they're doing construction, and they're down to one. So I don't like playing when it's busy. I just rather not. So Saturday, it was kind of like in the afternoon. I saw the table only had 2 people there. So I zoomed in. The shooter to the right of me sevened out. It was my turn, and I started throwing. And everybody zoomed in on the table. And they weren't happy gamblers. They had a lot of meanness to them. I had $400 on a lay. I didn't. They did. My come out number was 10. And I just wanted to throw a 10 so badly. Like, I set out to going, you know what? I'm rolling this 10. I'm going to sit there and watch you lose $400. And I did. They didn't put $400 back out there. But the negativity, you just I can't play at a table that's that negative. Just can't. It just ruins everything. Soon as I was 7'd out, I bounced. I was down $25 after that roll. And there were certain things that I did wrong. Putting money down on numbers that I did not roll. Also, trying my hardest to roll a 10 when I probably should have just been focusing on roll any number but a 7. Things like that. So that was Saturday. I said, you know what? I got to come back to the table. I will be there first thing when they open. So they open at 9 o'clock at that table. I was there at 8:55, and I was the only one there. So for the whole entire time, I rolled from 9 o'clock till probably 9:30. It was just me. And I only had one session, only one roll. I did hit my my small, and I just needed to roll a yo. I could not, for the life of me, roll a yo. I did not change my dice set from what I was doing, but I had at least 10 chances to roll a yo and just did not. My first number was 8, and I never hit 8 again. Never did I hit 8 again. I've had my odds up there, so because I thought 8, I'll hit 8 one more time. Nope, never did. I was playing the 6, and I kept on pressing that up. I had 30 or $40 on the 6. I hit 5 one time, so then I sat there and put money on 5, and I probably had $25 on 5 by the time I 7'd out. On the 4, I rolled it twice. After rolling it twice, I put a quarter on the 4, and I rolled it 3 more times. I'm glad I didn't do one more quarter because that was kind of coming to the end. I did roll the 10 only once, so there's no sense of putting another quarter on the 10. And hard ways, yeah, it was kind of a mixed bag. Not very many hard ways. Most were easy. But I did hit the small, and so I made money. The dealers made money, and it was just the dealers and I. And that's the way I like it. The dealers know me. The dealers were rooting for me. The pit boss came over and watched, make sure I was doing everything legal, which I am, hit the back wall and stuff like that. He was getting excited for his workers because he saw they had money on the table too. All I had to do was roll a 12, a yo, and they would have gotten paid for the tall and the all. So I just want to make this short video about 5 things you can do to make more money at the craps table. I can show you, but I think it's just best just to sit there and tell you. Go with what you know. And that's what I did on Sunday when I was playing by myself. If there's a number that I have not rolled, there's no sense of putting money on it. And then when you do sit there and hit it once, maybe twice, then put money on it. Say, okay, I have not changed my dice set. I have not changed where I'm rolling. I've rolled it twice now. I'm going to put money on it. So many people sit there and do 64 across or whatever it might be. And then they 7 out and you'd never hit the 10. You'd never hit the 9. If anything, you should have had it on, these numbers over here. But that's knowing your dice set. Go with what you know is going to work. That's the biggest thing. Go with what you know is going to work. Number 2, know when to leave the table. I knew when to leave the table on Saturday because there was so much negativity. I was done with that. I cannot roll with that much negativity. And on Sunday, I was up $300. I knew it was time for me to go. One session, I made up my loss from yesterday, and I came back a winner. It's time for me to go. I gave them my white chips and said, you guys have a great one. And they thanked me for starting their morning off great. Gotta know when to hold them. Know when to walk away. Yeah, that song. One thing that sometimes we forget as gamblers is that the longer you stay there, the more chances you have of walking away a loser. If you ever go to a cruise, there's not very many things to do when you're out to ocean. You can sleep, you can eat, and you can gamble. And a lot of times people go, wow, I'm not doing so good on this trip. I'm not doing as good as I do in Vegas or whatever. Well, you probably are. But most time in Vegas, you have other things you could be doing besides just those 3 things: eat, sleep, and gamble. So you end up having a lot of time gambling. The longer you stay there. Now, there are, of course, you might hit $1,000 or $1 million on the slot machine because you stayed there for 13 hours. There are some examples out there that that's not true. But for most off, the longer you stay, the more you're going to lose. One thing that's helped me with slot play, and I do more slot play than I do craps play, but if you look at them together, they can kind of help each other out. So, let's say my bankroll. Let's say my bankroll is $2,000. I think this is $2,000. Yeah, this is $2,000. Say my bankroll is $2,000. And I'm going to be there for, let's say, 2 days. So I'm going to sit there and go, you know what? My first visit to the table, 500. And then in the evening, I'm going to visit the table one more time, 500. And do so for the next day, 500 and 500. Segment them out. When you lose the first one on the first day, when you sit there and, play on the table, don't go into segment number 2, segment number 3, and segment number 4's money. The objective to doing this is that you want to increase what you have. And you set the amount. Say, you know what, I'm going to walk away when I'm $200 ahead. I'll walk away when I'm $300 ahead. Whatever the amount is, there is no wrong amount. But you have to sit there and be diligent to sit there and say, okay, I'm $300 ahead of what I started with. It's time for me to bounce. I'm not going to stay there forever. And then you're not going to use this. You're going to sit there and put this away. And then later on that night, you're going to play segment number 2. And the same way. Sometimes you're going to sit there and lose it. And that's fine. That's why you segmented it out. That's fine if you lose it. Hopefully you learn something from losing it. But then you're set for the next day where you have the first segment again and the second segment. So I'll do the same thing with slot machines. If I'm chasing a major, which you're really not supposed to, or chasing a grand, again, what you're not really supposed to, I will sit there and go $500. If I'm doing $10 spins, that gives me 50 spins. 50 spins for me to make a bonus. But then you're also getting money also. You're not going to sit there and get zero for all your 50 spins. So it's not really 50 spins, it's more like 70 spins. So in those 70 spins, can I at least get one bonus? And I'm going, yeah, I probably can. So I segment that machine out. I'll sit there and put $500 in it, and then I'll sit there and go, now, if my $500 disappears, I'm walking away from this machine. But if I get a bonus, and if it gets me higher than 500, I will do my 3 backup spins, and I am done with this machine. It's time for me to move on either to something else or move on to another machine. But segmenting your bankroll helps tremendous. That way that when the first day of Vegas, you don't sit there and lose your whole entire bankroll, and then you're stuck in the room watching TV reruns. You don't want that to happen. And the last thing, we segment our roles because we are dice setters, dice influencers, however you want to sit there and say it. We segment our roles for our roles. We segment our bankrolls for our roles, not for other people's roles. It would be the same as putting money in the machine and having some guy you've never met push the spin button. You wouldn't do that. There are rules at the casino that you have to play a certain amount so that when the dice come back to you, you're eligible to roll. So fill that requirement. And if somebody takes on, they hit 6 again. Oh, they hit 6 again. And to, compound on that, expand on that, that's fine. But don't sit there and do 64 across while somebody else is rolling. That'd be just as ridiculous as having some stranger push the spin button while you're playing slots. You wouldn't want that. You want to be the one in control. You want to be the one that, how fast are we going to sit there and lose this amount? So your segmented bankroll should be for your dice roll only, not for others. So whatever it takes, $10 for every player, $10 on one side, $10 on the other. Maybe your casino doesn't have a rule and you can sit there and twiddle your thumbs until the dice come back to you. It doesn't matter. Whatever you got to do, but make sure that your segmented bankroll that you have is for you. That's where you're going to make the most money because we know it works. And that was number one. We go with what we know it works. When I roll, I'm going to win. Now, 4 rolls, 4 segments, I might lose one of those. But the other 3 will make up for the one I lost, just like in the slot machines. Let's say I have $2,000. I segmented it to 500, 500, 500, and 500. I'm pretty sure that one slot machine is just going to say, no, I'm not going to give you a bonus, and I'm going to lose 500. That's perfectly fine, because the next one I go to, 4 spins into it, I'm going to get $2,000. So that will cover my $500 loss that I just lost. And then I'll go off to the next machine. So it's okay if you lose one segment. It's really, if you lost 2 segments, could you still live with yourself? Sure, you can, because it's your money, your bankroll, and it's your entertainment. But when you get down to these 2, you better be thinking to yourself, okay, go with what works. I know this dice set works. I know I'm going to be rolling these numbers. You don't want to sit there and go to your last segment and go, well, I've lost segment 1, 2, and 3, and this is all I have. Sometimes it happens that way, but always go with what you know. Same thing with the slot machine. I know I can trigger a bonus, $2 denom, $10 a spin. Within $500, I'll get a bonus. Now, will it be enough to bring me back up on top? I don't know. Sometimes they just put their middle finger up and say, there goes your bonus. I've had that before. That's just part of gambling. But that's why we segment our bankrolls. You're like, well, Jeff, $500, that's quite a bit for a segment, for a bankroll. Well, that's okay. Let's just do it, 300. We'll sit there and do 300 a segment. So we have 2 left over, and that's going to be playing on other people's so that we can continue to roll the dice when it gets back around to us. And now we have 3 segments for day 1 and 3 segments for day 2. This is just ways to keep your money to you and to get as much money from the casino as you possibly can, and not be it the other way around, that you're going to give all your money to the casino. 5 simple steps. Think about it before you sit there and put your money down. What numbers I'm going to roll, what dice that I'm going to use, where I'm going to land, things like that. And don't be afraid to walk away. You might be your first roll and find out this table is negative. That's going to impact you playing this $300. I don't want to be at a table that's negative. I'll just sit there and I'm just walking away, take my money and go. I lost $25 at a negative table. I was putting my money in the wrong place, but I didn't know those negative people were there up until they came. And like all of them were laying, they were on either the don't or the don't come. And as a shooter, that does, that's playing the past, the past line, that does not make you feel good. That does not make you feel good. Side note, I hit 3 majors last weekend. Had a fantastic time. Had a fantastic time playing with craps on Sunday. Not so fantastic time on Saturday, but it is a story I can sit there and relate to you, and hopefully by my story you can learn from it about negativity. And if you do see somebody being negative, just one person or 2 people, and everybody else is being positive, well, just reinforce the positive. Make everyone feel that these negative people have got to go. There are times on a bouncy table to do lay bets. I fully get it. I've been there. I've done that. Or when you sit there and see people roll and you're just like, this person's going to roll a 7. Guarantee he's going to roll a 7 within 2 rolls. He's going to roll a 7. Those times are fine. But when someone is clearly dice setting, knowing what they're doing, don't be the person that, just sit there and go, come on, shooter, come on. It makes a world of difference. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you're not subscribed, I have to ask you why. If you could subscribe, that'd be fantastic. If you can give me a thumbs up. If you agree, give me a thumbs up. If you don't agree, give me a thumbs up anyways. Put it in the comments. Say, hey, I think you're wrong about that. That's fine. I'm wrong about a lot of things. But let me know why. Till next time, next week, I will see you guys later with another show. Thank you. Have a good one.